Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, delicious. Today is Thursday, December 15th. And if you're on video, you'll see I'm a little more dressed up this morning. I'm off to Writer Coffee, wearing my sparkly sweater, and actually going to a little party this evening, a small party, a reception. But anyway, it's a fucking party and I'm going. I'm making the most of it. But it's my friend's works for, I should just say, my friend Megan works for Radius Books, and they're having a little, pop-up store and party. And she asked me if I was coming because I'm on their newsletter. She made me be on their newsletter. And I said, should I? And she's like, free champagne. I was like, I'm there. So, yeah, and I'll get a chance to go see the lights on the plaza, which is always a treat. And I haven't seen them yet this year. So yeah, always a busy morning when I'm getting ready to head to Writer Coffee. I'm hoping I will get some good progress on Bandits today. So yesterday, people, I'm in a place. I'm doing okay. I'm really trying not to begrudge this. I've got almost 14,000 words on it. I completed my revision of what I've done so far. And in fact, I should put that in here, solidify it, because I did, I have all of my, I do keep track of my various revision passes. And so, sorry, this is probably boring to listen to, but this way I don't forget. So I'm going to do a third pass on the beginning because I figured out more things on the second pass, and I have been doing world building things, people. And it's so funny because, sorry, I keep pausing because my mom is texting me. I finally figured out to put my phone on vibrate, but then I'd asked her a question, so I felt like I should go hear the answer. Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier this week. I begrudged the time on world building, and I know that I shouldn't. And a lot of this comes from my whole only writing counts as writing pose, posture, motto, stance, rule, one of these things, which in my old age, I am beginning to suspect maybe that's, I don't know. I still think only writing counts as writing, but I am also allowing for the truth, the reality that sometimes I just have to stop writing and kick into the world building. And especially when I'm building an entirely new world, which I haven't done that many times. I haven't done deliberate world building as often as I've written books. Does that make sense? So like if we look at my, I finally have a spreadsheet that's called book data so that I can keep track of things. So I've got 62 published titles at this point in time. And of these, how many different series do I have? All right, I'm going to pause you one more time. Okay, I'd actually never counted how many worlds I had because I've some that are like multiple series but set in the same world. So I have 8 different worlds if you do not count the contemporary stuff, which when I'm being a world building enthusiast, those of you who have taken world building workshops from me know that I will say that you world build in any genre. In fact, I think I even called a workshop world building for any genre at one point. because, and I'll just throw this out there, might as well be informative for once instead of just talking about my nails. So one thing that I ask in the workshops is if you've ever been to Biosphere 2 near Tucson, Arizona, where they created a completely enclosed space, a biosphere, a dome with plants, and they put people in it to live in there for a year to try to see if they could create a perfectly independent, homeostatic community environment. And they came close. They came close. But anyway, and it's fascinating. If you get a chance to go tour, because the tour is amazing. The book about it is really interesting that one of the gals wrote. But it's called Biosphere 2. And so I always ask people in my workshops, why do they call it Biosphere 2? What is Biosphere 1? And there's always someone who knows, which is gratifying, because you got to love the SFF geeky crowd, right? Biosphere 1 is the Earth, right? We're Biosphere 1. This was an attempt to recreate that biosphere. So it's important to keep in mind as writers, even of nonfiction, because I started out in creative nonfiction memoir writing. Even when you do that, you are world building because you are picking and choosing the details. It is impossible to absolutely recreate all of the detail of our world. Same with characters. It's impossible to absolutely recreate all of the complexities of an entire human being, right? You pick and choose the details in order to serve the tale that you are telling. That's one reason why it's fun to, oh, hang on. I was just noticing the sort of the ongoing drama of my life. This is absolutely champagne problems, but the cleaning ladies move stuff, right? And I even messaged my friend the other morning because they changed the order of my books. And I was like, I'm feeling like the stereotypical, mad creator, flinging books around my office saying, muttering about people moving my stuff. And I just noticed that one of my books was under a pillow. I was like, I'm going to rescue that book because otherwise I'm going to be like flinging things around looking for it. Please excuse the interruption. So anyway, world building. You have to keep in mind that you are always world building. Even if you are doing a memoir, you are choosing what details of the location, the milieu, the time period, all of these things go into building the world. In this case, like I'm building a secondary fantasy world. So I could say that I have built 8 different secondary fantasy worlds, which is a lot. A couple of them are probably pretty thin. But it's definitely much easier when I go to write a book in a world I've already established. So much easier, in fact, that I forget how much work it is to deliberately world build. And the last time I did it was when I wrote Bonds of Magic, I think. Yeah, because Renegades of Magic takes place in the same world. So that's an example of 2 different series taking place in the same world. I was really amused. One of the reviews of the Forgotten Empires books, it might have been of the first one of Orchid Throne. The reviewer was someone who has read a lot of my books. And she said on there that it was the same world as 12 Kingdoms. And I was like, no, it's not. There's, I felt like that was a miss because I very deliberately made it be a different world, and the magic system works entirely differently, and the politics are totally different and not the same world. Which I realize to most people doesn't matter that much, but it mattered to me. So in writing this book, which longtime listeners, bandits, will recall that I'm taking a contemporary movie, takes place in our contemporary world, Biosphere 1, and I'm placing it in a secondary fantasy world. And I thought, I, why didn't any of you like slap me upside of the head? Seriously, people, you've been listening to me long enough. Someone should have stepped up and reminded me that if I'm placing it in a secondary fantasy world, that means I was going to have to do a whole lot of world building, and it takes time. So yesterday, the last few days, I've actually been really drilling into the world. I have, written enough that I started to get a feel for the characters. That's kind of what I need to do, is to get a feel for the characters and their situation, and then to start to build the world out from there. And I was messaging with darling writer friend Kelly Robson, and who has been making great strides on writing her new novel. And I said to her that she's getting bigger word count than I am these days, which makes me feel like a slacker. And she said, well, is it not going well? And I'm like, oh, I've just been having to do research. I've been looking stuff up. And she's like, yes, but that's part of it, right? You have to do this world building. And I'm like, rah, 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 rah. Back to my grumpy, crazed, creative. I keep wanting to say like creative genius, and I don't think there's much genius involved, where I'm just sort of like throwing things around my office and looking things up in books. So one of the things that I ended up doing was on Tuesday afternoon, I got on the phone with author friend Jennifer Eastep, who is incredibly helpful, because I think I talked about this on Tuesday morning on the podcast, that I started digging out these books, right? One of which I cannot find now. And so I think like the cleaning ladies moved it. It's got to be around here somewhere, right? My friend said that I should tell the cleaning ladies to please not rearrange my books. But because I was like, what can I do? What can I say? And he's like, let me think. Say, please don't rearrange my books. And it's like, I don't feel like I can say that, right? Because they need to dust, and they don't, which means pulling books out. And I want them to do that. And I know that they don't know the order of things that goes back. The one exception is my book, my shelf. I've mentioned this before, but my shelf of erotic books, they don't touch those, which I think is really funny. It's like, so clearly they could tell enough to know what those books are about, and that they don't want to touch them. It's funny. Really sure they don't have cooties, but hey. Anyway, so I was really delving, and I was talking to different friends and people who've read a lot of the fantasy canon, and getting, trying to figure out basically how I wanted to do my Fey lands versus the human lands, because I knew I wanted this dichotomy. And it occurred to me at some point in there that I was overthinking, which those of you who know me will be shocked to learn that I sometimes overthink things. And in fact, it's a piece of advice I give to newer writers often when they're trying to figure out really clever ways to do things. I feel like we do this a lot, where we're like, oh, I can't just do the standard thing. I need to figure out the clever way to do this. I need to find something that's like really resonant, or like hasn't been done before. So everything's been done before. You're not going to find something that hasn't been done before. And B, if you're trying to be clever, sometimes the cleverness takes away from the story. Really, I always say that the story is the most important thing. It's more important than anything else. It trumps agenda. It trumps being clever. All of these things. I really hate that we can't use the word Trump anymore, because now it's like only means one thing. So the thing is the world building readers don't need something that's like immensely clever. They want a great story. They want the world to make sense, and they want the world to transport them, but they don't necessarily need something that is perfectly original. And so one of the things I'd been struggling with was like didn't want to go I didn't want to go like Sarah J. Maas, the whole zeitgeist with the a court of bloody bloody blah fae, because these are not those kind of fae for starters. And also, I was feeling like I didn't want to glom onto this particular thing, which so many writers are doing. And so I was trying to come up with like, how am I going to do this really original, different thing? And I'm like, this is almost a bridge too far. I was even thinking of going Tolkien-esque. Oh, and total aside, I finished watching the first season of Rings of Power last night. Really loved Rings of Power, and boy, the way they brought that home at the end. Uh, I'm not going to spoiler it, but whoa, whoa, totally worth watching that first season. Looking forward to where they go next. They're really. I think this first season was slightly slow in that they are doing lots of world building, but it's fabulous and inspiring, and actually has made me like Tolkien a little bit better. It's not that I dislike Tolkien, but I get tired of it being like that. That's the be all and end all of fantasy, and I do think that there are ways in which people limit themselves by this sort of Tolkien worship. Anyway, that's a rant for another day, and a rant that I have done on previous days, so we won't do it again. So, at any rate, I got on the phone with Jennifer and said, okay, so um, this is what I'm struggling with. And it occurs to me that maybe I'm overthinking, and maybe I should just go with like fairy courts, which are so much the dominant trope in fantasy romance these days. And Jennifer is much, much better than I am at writing to mainstream. She does not overthink in the way that I do. And so I was like, am I? Should I be doing this? So we actually came to a medium. We brainstormed a bit, and she got me thinking about some good ways to do this that sort of finds a way that's like not going full Tolkien or, like ancient Norse mythology or something, but also not a court of blah de blah. I have no idea how the transcript will do those, and fair warning, I probably won't try to fix it. Um, so yesterday I delved and I went through and I did naming, and I could tell you that I now have like 7 square brackets. Those of you who know me know that as I'm drafting, I use square brackets to pop in anything where I don't really know what it is yet. And I had in my lowly like 10,000 words that I'd had so far, I had something like 75 square brackets. So a lot of things I'd not yet decided on. So now I'm down to 7, and a lot of those are at the beginning where I know the answers. And now I'm considering layering in one more element. And then I think I'm done with getting all of this set up. Um, and I mean, those of you who don't mind spending the time world building are probably laughing at me. But I'm feeling very mature. I'm feeling like a very mature writer. That yesterday I was like, I'm gonna just have to let go of producing word count. This is probably going to be my lowest word count year ever, and I hate that. And we've been talking about the Clifton Strength stuff, and Jennifer said to me, that is your achiever, But fortunately, I also have my input, learner, and intellection are 3 of my top 5 strengths. So I just sort of let them enjoy doing the learning and intellecting and inputting yesterday, and I'm trying to be at peace with this. So. Um, it's not all about building word count, which I know you all know this, but I'm trying to be mature and learn this. So that's where I'm at. Uh, and yeah, I'm off to Writer Coffee, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. You all take care. Bye bye.